Hey guys, this is AgentMindStorm, and welcome back to Cubes and Contemplations. Today, I am talking about motivation, the thing that makes you want to do things until it goes away and then you don't want to do anything and that's all terrible. Let's talk about it. You know what motivation is. We're not going to spend time explaining what motivation is. That would be the most pointless thing we could do today. So instead, on this rainy day, in case you hear rain in the background, it is raining outside. Let's talk, when do you get motivation? The main time that I think one gets motivation is the start of something. I'm going to say project. I'm going to use the word project to mean anything that you are motivated about. At the start of a project, you get that burst of motivation, you know? Something new has started. It's interesting. It's something intriguing. You haven't done it before. This almost goes back to what I'm talking about last episode about entertainment, how something new is intriguing and you want to see where it goes. So that gives you motivation to keep working on it, and you like how it's going and turning out. The other times that I'd say that you get motivated during a project are whenever you see a big chunk of progress slide in and be completed. That is so satisfying. Like, if your project has a few major states, I'm going to use my draining the ocean monument from Minecraft as an example. When I got that ocean monument finally drained of water, that was a huge, huge milestone. Now we can do so many more things because the water is gone. That gave me such a big burst of motivation to work on that project because the super hard, long part was over. And then, of course, there is when you're nearing the end. When you get close to the end of something, you want to work on it so much because you're like, oh my gosh, it's almost done. And this can almost lead to overworking and crunching yourself, which don't do that. But I do tend to get motivated near the end of projects, so I'm assuming that most people do too. So what knocks down motivation? One of the main things I'd say is procrastination. That we're going to talk about later though. That's going to be the second half of this episode because procrastination is a really weird relationship to motivation. It's not an opposite, it's just in the way, I'd say. One of the things that can knock down motivation, other than procrastination, is seeing the long road ahead. Remember my example about the ocean monument? If I would have just started that project and thought about how long it would take me to drain that ocean monument and spend so much time just doing the same thing over and over again, that is really demotivating for people. Knowing that you are going to do something repetitive and boring and you have to do it for your project to be able to be completed. That is a huge knockdown to your motivation. The initial enthusiasm has worn off at that point. You no longer see, yes, I'd like to start this new thing. You see, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to spend so much time on this thing that I don't want to do and it's boring, and that's a huge knockdown for your motivation. You still want to see it completed usually at this point because you see the long road and you see the goal after the long road, but the long road you just don't like. You might want the destination, but you don't want to work on it, and it almost feels like chipping away at a gigantic rock with a tiny little shovel that you're never going to chip away. The other thing, other than those two, is negative feedback. Not just from people, but anything. For example, if you put a lot of time and effort into something, and you see no monetary gain from it, that's negative feedback. You aren't going to want to do that because you've received negative feedback. It didn't benefit you, but you feel spent. You put a bunch of time in something, and now that time is lost. And of course, knowing that other people dislike your thing is also negative feedback. Other people saying, ugh, I don't like what you're doing here. That's negative feedback. That won't motivate you. What I find is almost worse than that is indifference. Because at least if someone's negative, at least if they hate your thing, they care enough to acknowledge your thing. Indifference is really the most demotivating thing for me. Knowing that people don't care is the worst demotivator, in my opinion. Let's flip the script, though. Instead of talking about the things that will ruin motivation, let's talk about how you stay motivated. This is really the important part of the video, in my opinion. Consistency is the key. You have to keep working on something, and you have to keep making progress. You can't just stop and ignore it. That will be demotivating in and of itself to see that your project is going nowhere. So consistently working on something, even just a little bit every day, would do wonders. For example, I would set a schedule for something. So say, every day in the afternoon, I'm going to go running, and I'm going to stay motivated because I want to go running. If you get that into a schedule, it gets into your brain in a way that, oh, it's time to do that thing, and hopefully you end up staying motivated throughout it. no matter how long and boring the road might seem, you are consistently walking down it. The other thing to keep consistent in motivation is you have to avoid burnout. Burnout is the enemy of motivation. It is, I think, the opposite, the polar opposite of motivation, and sometimes it happens from over-motivation, and overworking yourself can cause burnout. So say you get really motivated about something new, you want to put a bunch of work into it because you love how much it is, and then you realize you're super tired and you just don't want to work on it anymore. So then you take a break and then you miss a day in your schedule and you still don't want to work on it. That is how you know that you've burned out. You put too much work into it too quickly and you just don't want to work on it. I myself had a very similar thing happen recently. I was doing a lot of heavy edited videos. I did the resource pack tutorial. I did the custom song video. And then I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to do episode 150, which is going to require a bunch of editing. And I just shut down. I didn't do any videos for like a month and a half because I burned out of motivation because I kept using it on big, stressful projects like the resource pack tutorial. And yes, episode 150 was slightly stressful because of all the preparation I had to do, even though I really, really am a fan of that final product. Working long and hard on the same thing will make you despise it if you don't take breaks. You will see it as the thing that's taking away your time, even though it is you that is taking away your own time. Which is why instead you have to use moderation. You cannot work for 6 hours a day on your project and expect to be able to keep working that day after day after day. You will burn out at that. I'd say the maximum amount you should probably work on the same project in a day is like 2 hours. If this is a project you really want to stay motivated about for a long period of time, do not push yourself. If you find you're getting bored, take a break. That is a key. If you want to not work on something, don't make yourself work on it. That's the fast track to making yourself not like it, to make yourself work on something that you don't have the desire to work on right now. So another way to avoid burnout is to change your focus on the project. If you've been working on that long, hard road and you still see a long, hard road in front of you and you're really, really feeling the heat and you just want to lay down and burn out, instead, change roads. Work on something different. Go down a different road for a little while, maybe something a little easier, something a little simpler, but change your focus. Don't just stay on the same track until it's completed, because that will, in fact, possibly burn you out. Of course, everyone is a little different, and there are some people who can focus on one track of a project until it's complete and then see it as done and easily compartmentalize it. Well, I don't know if that's the right word. I think I'm kind of one of those people. I like to work on a project for a long time and then do it. But, for example, in my Let's Play, I know I'm using myself as an example a lot today, but hopefully you can understand this even if you don't follow this stuff. I would spend a few episodes in a row working on the same thing. And even though that thing wasn't completed, then I'd take a break and work on something different. That's how I avoid burnout on that project. That was swapping the road to walk down something different for a little while. And you must know when you switch a road that you will always have to jump back to that other road later. Unless you're really changing the focus of your project, jump back on that other road at some point when you feel your motivation is back on. Like maybe you completed that other road that you jumped to and you feel really motivated again. Jump back to that hard road and finish that out. That is, in my opinion, the best way to do a long, difficult project. Go on to the hard part when you have your motivation. Speaking of not wanting to do things, procrastination. This is going to be our focus for the rest of the episode because procrastination is an obstacle in the way of motivation. It's really weird. We procrastinate the smallest things. They really probably don't make an impact on us in the future, yet we still feel, oh, I don't want to do this. I want to take a break. For example, in the morning, I am supposed to get up, take a shower, put in my contacts, and eat breakfast. For some reason, when I get up, I put an hour of sitting on my bed on my phone, accomplishing nothing in between me taking a shower and me waking up. That is procrastination. There's no logical reason for it. It doesn't benefit me in any way. Sometimes I even feel guilty. Why am I doing this? And yet I still keep doing it. It must be stressed that procrastination is not the opposite of motivation, but it's more of an obstacle in the way of it. So why do we procrastinate? I'm really not fully sure why the base level. I'm not a psychologist or anything. It might just be that we wish to avoid something for a little bit of time, for some reason. Also, though, it can be a sign of burnout. You can see, oh, I don't want to work on this, so I'm going to instead just do something really easy and little, and that's also a sign of burnout if you're doing procrastination. It's almost like doing the road switching, but not thinking about it and not realizing that you're gonna have to jump back to that other road later. Instead, you're just kinda idly walking on the sidewalk, spinning around, and hoping that no one will notice how you're really not doing anything. So how do we avoid procrastination then? If you're starting a project that you know will have a long, hard, boring road, as I was saying before, that is what you should do first. It might seem counterintuitive if I'm dreading this part of the project, but you are motivated at the start. That is when you need to do the most difficult parts. You need to walk down that road as soon as you possibly can, because if you wait, that road will still be there, but you won't be motivated anymore. You need to take it on before everything else, so then everything else will be easy in comparison. So then later, if you start to feel unmotivated or want to procrastinate, the hard part is already done. You don't need to work on that hard part. You don't need to have that hanging over you the whole time because you've already completed it. One way of avoiding it that I haven't tried myself, but I think should work, is setting a schedule for when you want to start to work on something. I myself have, as I said, never tried this before, but I think that setting a start time, not necessarily an end time, because you don't want to burn out, but setting a start time for when you're going to start would probably eliminate procrastination completely, because you could do whatever you want before, and then you know at that time you have to start. That is when you're going to start, and that's when you're going to work on it. The easiest way to procrastinate is to look at your phone. I don't think anyone will disagree with this. The simplest way to avoid it is to put your phone down, charge it in a different room, and shut the door, and know that you won't look at your phone or think about it until you've worked on that project for a little while. There can be that separation anxiety from your phone that, oh no, I'm gonna miss something if I put my phone down. I can't put my phone down. But that's a lie from your brain that's telling you, I can't put my phone down, oh no. You can put your phone down. I have done it so many times, and I don't think I've ever missed anything big. Try it yourself and see, have you really missed anything big? No, you haven't missed anything from putting down your phone for an hour so that you can work on something more important. In order to continue working on a project, you really need to be able to put down your phone, or else you'll just be sucked into it and social media and waste so much time. I do this myself too. It's a huge problem I have to face, and I just need to learn to put my phone down and work on the project. That's all I have today. Hopefully, you found some of these wonderings about motivation and procrastination interesting. I personally think it was a very good topic to cover, especially after I just had the huge spout of burnout and then motivation back on Let's Play 150, and then I'm back motivated again. I think this was a perfect topic to cover in Cubes and Contemplations. Funnily enough, I procrastinated writing the notes that I have next to me for this episode. Yesterday I was like, I'll do the notes today, and then I'll record it tomorrow, and that'll split up all the work. And then I realized I never did it yesterday. I am still procrastinating, and that is a flaw of mine. I need to work on that. Just like everyone, I need to work on it. Anyways, that is the end of this episode, and I do want to tell you all, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.